It's Thursday, the 11th of February, and today we're looking at can I expand my vocabulary? So looking at getting some really good adjectives into our set descriptions for tomorrow. First off, though, if we could just identify the nouns in these sentences. So nouns are naming words, so they're names for things. So mainly objects, but sometimes you can have proper nouns, which are names of people or names of companies. And occasionally you get nouns that are like things like darkness and things like pride and courage and things that you can't necessarily they're not necessarily objects, but most of the time nouns are objects, and you can tell them normally because they come with the or a in front of them. So if you pause the video, just have a look if you can see the nouns in these sentences. Okay, so there are a few nouns here. So we've got horse, obviously animal there, luggage, the object luggage. We've got sun and plane. You may have thought, is African a noun? Well, Africa would be a noun as the name of the continent, but African is actually an adjective. It's describing the plain there. Forest, trees, mountain, and side as well. Side you may not have got, but you can see it's got the before it, so the side. That's a big clue that it's a noun. We've also then got mole and hole, some nouns there. So hopefully you spotted all of those nouns, and you can see they're all names of things or objects. Okay, so today we're looking at can I expand my vocabulary? Now, I've given you 8 words here, 8 adjectives. Now you might know what some of them mean already. You may not, and that's absolutely fine because that's what we're here today to do, is just to learn the meaning of some of these words. I've chosen them because they're all ones which can be used fairly easily in your setting description tomorrow. So what I want you to do first is to have a go at writing these in your book and writing a short description of what each one of them means. So you've got different options doing this. You might use your own mind. You might already think you know what it means, so you can have a go at doing that. You might ask somebody else. It might be an older brother or sister or an adult around who you can ask and see if they know what these things mean. You could use a dictionary if you've got one lying around, or you could definitely use the internet. So if you just type in definition of the word or what does the word mean, it should come up with a quick definition of what that word means. So you should be able to write those here in your own words, what each of these eight words means. So I'll let you pause the video and have a go at that. Okay, so if you did find them all, or for example, or you didn't, or you wrote your own, but you weren't sure whether you were right or you didn't find them all, here's my definitions of them. So hopefully these are pretty much the same as your definitions. So outlandish means looking or sounding bizarre or unfamiliar. So something quite unusual in a kind of a little bit of an eerie way. Sinister, something is sinister if it gives the impression that something evil or harmful is about to happen. So it's not necessarily evil or not necessarily something bad happening at that point. It's just giving that impression that something is about to happen. It's a little bit sinister there. Weathered just means worn away by the wind or the rain. So literally worn away by the weather, really. That's where weathered comes from. So normally you're talking about like kind of stone and statues and buildings are weathered. So it should mean when they're worn away by the wind or the rain. So that's how they look. Desolate is empty, deserted, and lonely. Dilapidated, generally you refer to dilapidated to do with a building rather than anything else. It just means a building is falling down. It's not looked after or repaired. It's probably quite old. You could say of like an object, like maybe a bike or something. You might have an old dilapidated bike, which again is just not really looked after or repaired. It's not very good anymore. Foreboding is a feeling that something bad is about to happen. So it's different from sinister. Sinister gives the impression that something is about to happen, whereas foreboding is more of a feeling that something bad is about to happen. Windswept just means exposed to strong winds or looking like it's been exposed to strong winds. So if you had like your hair all like a mess, like you've been out in the wind, you might be looking quite windswept. And then looming means to appear suddenly large and tall, but kind of blurry, as if through the mist or the fog. Like, as if you couldn't see something and suddenly it's really big and blurry in front of you, just coming out of the mist. It's kind of looming out of the mist there. Okay, so what I want you to do now is to have a go at putting each one of these into a sentence. So by the end of this, you should have 8 sentences using each of these words in a way that works. So have a look at the definitions here or the definitions you've got. And all I need to do is use just one sentence. It can be really short if you like, just using each word in a way that is correct. So you've got 8 sentences with those words in, and then hopefully you can use some of those sentences in your sentence description tomorrow. So I'll let you pause the video there and have a go. And then if you come back afterwards, I've got my examples of how I've used it in a sentence, and you can see whether you your sentence kind of works in the same way. So I'll let you pause the video now. Okay, so hopefully you got your 8 sentences. So this is what I put them in. Obviously your sentence won't be exactly the same, but hopefully you use the same kind of meaning of the word. So here are my sentences. So I've got, from the windows came a glowing, eerie and outlandish light. So that light's a bit strange, it's a bit bizarre. I've got the statue's face was twisted into a sinister grin. Again, just seeing that kind of statue's face makes you feel, oh, this is a kind of good place to come. Something bad might be about to happen. The building was made entirely of weathered stone that looks centuries old. So again, that stone's been worn away. It looks really old because it's the wind and the rain has worn it away. Before him, the desolate moors were stretched out with barely a tree in sight. So the moors there are desolate, they're lonely, they're empty. Not a very, very lonely place to be. A dilapidated old barn appeared through the mist to her right, looking like the skeleton of a building. So again, this old barn's very dilapidated, it's falling apart. You can probably only see the beams, a lot of the other wood's like rotten and falling off. I couldn't escape the sense of foreboding that this place gave me. So just being in that place gives you a sense that something bad is about to happen. The wind-swept thorn trees were bent almost double over the ground. So they've been blown by the wind so much over the years that they kind of almost bent over away from the wind. But suddenly there it was again, the great ruined church looming up out of the fog. So again, that church has suddenly appeared really big and huge, but sort of a bit blurry, just coming out of the fog there. So hopefully you've used those words in the same way, but I'm sure you've got sentences even better than I have. And I think all of these sentences can easily be used perhaps in your sentence description tomorrow. So keep a hold of them, keep them in your book and have a look through them tomorrow. And I'm sure they'll give you lots of good ideas.